Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Mike here from AXC Garage. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are back with Eddie, 1993 Acura NSX. And today we have a few things we have to do and get the car all prepped up for the new owner. So let's take a look. All right, John, so like I mentioned before to everybody, hey, we got Eddie car back and the car is going to a new owner.
Yeah, the car is here for last few little bits of work to get done to it. Then the car is going to get shipped up to Ohio, where it's going to live the rest of its life, hopefully being enjoyed just like Eddie would have enjoyed it down here.
I tell you what, Reg is a good guy. I think he's really going to enjoy this car here.
Yeah, he actually has, it was in 04, 05.
I think it says 05.
In 05 with less than around 5,000 miles on it.
He meant 05 NSX with 5,000 miles on it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
We're probably going to get a car in the shop someday. And
yeah.
The intention is to get this done first, then we can get that car over. So
absolutely.
Now the car's in the shop. What are we doing today?
So one of the last things that we had discussed with Eddie before his untimely passing was repainting the bumper. The bumper's got some stress cracks in it, and you can see it right there. And the color on it, it's really hard to see with the camera, even harder to see with your eye. The color was just a bit off from
you can see it
here.
You can see it.
Yeah, so when we painted this piece, we matched it to the fender with the intentions of coming back and repainting this.
Yeah, you can see a shade different between those three.
So that right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pop this bumper off. Then one of the other things that we're going to be doing is upgrading the ABS brake system with, it's a first gen ABL system in the car. It runs a large valve body, an accumulator, and a pressure pump. And it's really outdated. This is Honda's entry into ABS, and it leaks, the pump leaks. Parts are really expensive and hard to get your hands on. So a few different companies out there came up with a kit that allows you to put the O2 Plus compact ABS system, like that's in an S2000 or in, say, a 2001 Integra Type R. It's basically the same exact braking system. It utilizes the hard lines from the O2 Plus, O2 to 05 NA2 up front, and also comes with some mounting brackets and a harness that pins into the traction control unit. And that's a very interesting thing that we'll be getting into. I haven't done it yet, but we'll be learning because it's something I'm interested in doing on my own car.
Hey John, is that a bolt-on system or is something that needs to be modified?
This is designed to be bolt-on. The only part that is modified is the harness, where you have to pin it into the control unit inside the dashboard. So that's the only part that's a little bit custom, if you will. Everything else is bolt-in. So
to start this video, we'll go ahead and get a bumper up so Paint Society can get started on the bumper for us.
Yeah, you know, we have to make sure he has work to do, or else he sleeps somewhere in the back, maybe in the booth. So let's go ahead and give him this bumper before he gets a little too comfortable.
All right, John, so I see you popped over some clips over here at the carpet, and also you got this little thing right here. What's going on over here?
So our hatch struts have failed, or trunk struts, I should say. Pretty common on these. We do have a replacement set. They're not the easiest things in the world to change, but that won't be a problem for us because we have what we need here. But I had to gain access to these two bolts back here. This bolt and one over there. That's what holds the bumper support in place from inside here. There's gonna be more stuff underneath. We're gonna go ahead and leave these here, loosen them up, take everything off. That's the next step. All right, so we have our 10mm bolts here and here. We also have one here and another one way up there in the dark where you can't see it. We have a 12mm bolt here on the back of the frame. That's where the bumper support attaches to. We're gonna go ahead and get all that disconnected and start taking this thing off.
So now we got a bumper on the stand. What's next, John?
So now we need to remove the bumper support from the bumper, and then we need to remove our previously painted carbon fiber lower trim here, so that Brian can get just the part he needs to paint, which is the bumper plastic. So now we gotta take all these screws off and get it apart. All right, so we have it completely stripped down. Everything's off of it that we need. Now it's off to bring it to Brian in the body shop and pass it on to him. Let's go. Man, look at that, Mike. Brian.
You got it off for me. You guys did the hard work for me.
Oh, well, I mean.
Now I do the easy part. Where are the scratches at?
Right here, this stress cracks.
Right, okay.
We can see where there was a previous repair done on this here.
Ooh, okay.
But I know we didn't have any issues here. But
When we first worked on the car, I noticed it didn't match perfectly, so we're gonna use the same color we used on a lip, and we'll get this thing rolling, so.
Yeah, because when we talked about it, I said that we chose to match, you chose to match
the vehicle.
The quarter panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was always gonna get painted in the future. Now, it's ready to happen.
Yeah, let's do Eddie's right on this one.
You think you can do this? You can handle it?
I think I'm a trained professional. I think I can do it. YouTube certified. So the guys brought me the bumper, and I'm gonna go over a few things that I noticed off the bat. So right here we see some stress cracking. You can pick it up in the light, and that happens when there's not any flex additive in the undercoat. So we'll stand down everywhere where it's damaged. If you come along here, there's a lot of orange peel and a lot of dirt in the clear. We have a dent in this area. Also under here we have some flaking paint. So we'll do our do what we need to do to address all of those areas, along with the whole other side of the bumper. There was some cracks right in here. You can see that's a stress crack. So you need to sand this down to the bare plastic in these areas. You don't need to go down everywhere, but where there is stress cracks, you're going to need to address them, and that's just what we're going to do. We're going to sand it down with a 180 grit and get it down to the bare plastic, and then we'll go from there and address any other issues along the way that may arise when we get into this. So let's get started.
All right, so we got the bumper at the body shop with Brian, and I guess we'll start on the brakes, right, John?
Yeah, because if we wait for Brian, the project would never get done.
Oh.
He's very good, but he takes his time.
Oh.
or he's lazy. I don't know what it is.
John, he's not gonna be happy when he hears this.
That's kind of what I go for with Brian, you know?
All right. ABS. Let's talk about ABS.
Yeah, let's
system.
get back on track here. So what we have here is a first gen ABS or ABL system, as it's called on these early ones. So these things are very early anti-lock braking system. So this is a separate reservoir. This is the valve body here. Down below is a dampener, pressure sensor, a pump, and a nitrogen-filled accumulator to hold pressure in the system, so when the system needs to actuate, it has pressure on demand. Interesting thing about this system is it actually has a separate fluid from this. So this can run low on fluid, but your brakes will still work. But you'll lose the ability for the system to pulse the brakes and give you that ABS anti-locking. The idea is for you not to lock the wheels up and skid. Now this system, not only is it out of date and not super effective, but the pump has been leaking, and to fix it and put all the time and money into it, it's just not really cost effective.
Is the parts even available for this first gen ABS system?
You know, a lot of parts are not. Some parts may be for it. We didn't even go into looking into it because the cost to get this thing working properly, and the fact that if we fixed one thing, it's like putting your finger in the crack in the dam. I fix this leak here, I'm gonna have another leak there, there, and there. The idea is to make sure we never have to go back into the system again. Therefore, we have the compact ABS system upgrade to the O2 Up NA2s. This is a pretty standard Honda VSA modulator. So as opposed to it being ABS, this is VSA. Vehicle Stability Assist. Your computer's built into here. This is all in the Honda packaging, Nissan, and all of our factory brackets, brake lines, mounting equipment, everything that we need to install this, along with the retrofit harness to adapt this over to the NA1 wiring and VSA system, so we have no lights on and the braking system works properly.
So other than this harness here, everything else is OEM factory parts?
100%. Everything's OEM, right down to our proportioning valve, brake lines, grommets, the clips that hold everything in place, every single thing OEM. Now we just got to figure out how to get all of this fun stuff into there and get that stuff out of there. That's the fun part, because I haven't done this before, but I'm going to learn today with you guys. All right, so not quite sure where to start first, but I know I can't go wrong with taking out everything that's in the way. We're going to take the spare tire out, the mounting brackets for it, probably some of these brackets. All the brake lines are coming out that go to the unit, because the new unit is much smaller and the brake lines are in a different location. So we're just going to start taking it apart and see where we end up, and we don't know how far we got to go with taking things apart, but we'll find out together. What a mess. All right, so you saw with the tool, that is a special tool for purging the pressure out of the system. This is the nitrogen filled accumulator. We could tell that was still good. This is our pump right here. This is what's leaking. Like I said, we're not gonna worry about trying to fix old technology when there's a decent upgrade. It's just something a lot newer. So let's go ahead and start removing some more of these parts and see what else we can get out of here, because it's all gotta go. All right, so we got that bracket out. That's kind of a guard for the spare tire. Now what we have to do is take loose all these brake lines that go into the ABL unit. And once we get those off of there, like Mike's doing right now, we should be able to try and get this unit out in one piece. At least we hope so. We'll see once we get everything apart. So we got all these connectors off. This stays with the unit. There's one more back here. It's in a tight spot.
Your hand too big for that, John.
Listen, it may be. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I found a way to make it work. And that's how it's done. Ooh. Yeah, like that. Should be it. All right, so 1991 technology, 2002. All of this stuff here, this will now do. Pretty awesome how the technology has advanced, not to mention the weight reduction and the complicated. This is a awesome upgrade. You need to go back to the gym, Mike?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do it.
Yeah, me too. It's been a little rough today. So me and Mike were talking about how there's a lot of lines and the description in the parts catalog. It's not very close on to where it goes, but you know, us being Acura Public Pines, where everyone brings their cars to get worked on, we happen to have an NA2 here at the dealership. That this is basically what we are mocking. We're converting the 93 to the 2002, and this is Frankie's 2002 Long Beach Blue Pearl that we're doing a little bit of body work on for him. And it's a perfect opportunity for us to have something to match the car to. Not usually do you have the opportunity to have a car to copy, but we do in this case, and it's gonna be all the more helpful for us. So we got some pointers on how to do things. Like, I didn't even know we had to reuse the bracket from the old system. So now I know that. We have a good idea what we gotta do. This is our little cheat sheet.
So we got our aluminum bracket nice and cleaned up. Next up, let's go ahead and mount up the supply bracket and also the new proportional valve.
All right, so what we have here is the ABS unit and the factory mounting bracket. What Mike's doing is he installed these rubber grommets right here. So these are vibration dampeners that insulate the unit from the car, so when it runs, the vibration doesn't transfer to the chassis. So they have a rubber grommet and then a metal stud that's going to go in to these locations here. Wow, Mike, that was beautiful.
Was it?
You're beautiful, Mike. Thank you for everything you do.
I've been trying to tell everybody I'm a beautiful man.
And like that, we have the unit mounted on the bracket. So this is the old bracket. We have the old hardware from it. It should line right up with this. And like that, we have everything mounted up for this. This will mount onto the firewall inside the car. What we're going to do now is run the lines that we have that'll go from this to this.
All right, so we got the wheels off. What's next, John?
We're going to go ahead and put in the new stainless steel lines so that when we put our hard line in, we're going to go right into the new line. So we're going to be replacing this hard line and this soft line. So first we got to unbolt the brackets that secure the lines to the suspension. Then we'll remove the line from the caliper. Then we'll unbolt it here.
All right, so the stainless steel brake line went in, no issues. What's next?
That was an easy swap out for us. That's already installed. Next thing we have to do is swap these lines out for the NA2 O2 plus NSX brake lines. Those are going to properly position the lines on the VSA modulator that's going to be mounting right here. So we have to replace this line, and the other two lines that go to the front wheels. So we have one long line that goes all the way underneath where the blower goes behind here. This is probably going to be our trickiest spot to see if we can't snake it behind here. But I think if we come in from this angle, we might be able to do something. Worst case scenario, we're going to have to open up evacuate the Freon and detach this pipe from right here. But we'll see. Let's give it a shot. All right, so we had a little bit of a shipping delay on our master cylinder. That should be here tomorrow. But as for now, all of our hard lines are run. New lines to each wheel. Our aftermarket stainless steel brake lines are in. The new VSA modulator is mounted. We have to put our one little guard on here still to stop the spare tire from hitting and bending the lines. And what we have up next is we're gonna run the custom harness for this from here into the cabin and then work on wiring it into the control unit. So once this comes in, all we have to do is install it, bleed it, and this baby's on the road. That's it. Brian never finishes it, which I don't know if that's ever gonna happen.
Hey Brian, so John wondering if you're ever gonna finish that bumper.
Oh, okay. So my line of work is more intensive, it takes time. His line of work is pretty quick. So I can't help that I'm a Honda paint enthusiast specialist, and well, I'm working on this beautiful Type R right here. So it's gonna be done when it's done, and it's gonna be done right. So back to the video.
All right, so Mike went ahead and put this guard in. What that's going to do is when the spare tire goes in and out, it's going to stop the tire from hitting these brake lines and the unit. So now that that's in, we have the fun part. Turning wrenches is fun for me. Running wires, not so much as fun, but we'll get it figured out. So this is a retrofit kit from Mita Motorsports. They did a really good job incorporating this specifically to this year and model. So right-hand drive, left-hand drive. If this was a right-hand drive, this unit would be located on the other side, therefore the harness would be different. So this is all set up for this year. There are 3 different configurations for the plugs where they go into the control units under the dash. Not 100% sure because everything's in Japanese, but I have Google Translate. It's going to help us get through this part. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug this in to the unit and then work on routing the harness over to the grommet on the firewall. Once we get this through the firewall, then we can go ahead and reinstall all of the AC components like the blower motor and whatnot out here. And then we can go ahead and work on reassembling our engine bay. Then we get to get inside and do some stuff I don't even know anything about. But that's pretty exciting too. Every day is a learning experience. Very delicate. So looking at this again, there appears to be a rubber grommet right next to the harness. We're going to send our harness through this. So I'm going to do a little X cross on this, and then we're going to go ahead and push the harness straight through there.
That's it, Poppy. Wow, that look real nice.
All right, so we have our main harness in the car. These are the adapter harnesses. So what we're going to be doing with these is we're going to be unplugging the actual plugs from the ABL unit and plugging our harness straight into that. So the ABL unit will no longer be used at all. You can technically remove it from the car if you want to. We're just going to leave it in there. There's no need for us to take it out. This is not a lightweight race car for this customer. So this plugs in, plug comes out of the harness, plugs into here. This plugs into the sub harness. So let's go ahead and do it.
You know what? One thing, John, before you start, I do like the fact that they came out with this connector where you can easily fish this through instead of this big ass connector here.
Yeah, so that's something that I noticed when we were looking at this. I see some of the other kits have you run it through a slot. You have to cut a little slot in the grommet for the engine harness, or I should say under hood harness that comes through, and that way you can fit these big fat connectors through. But the Mita kit allows us to just put these little ones through, and we were able to utilize that small grommet and not actually cut our engine harness, or I should say under hood harness grommet. I really like this design a lot better. When it's time for me to do it, I'm pretty sure this is what I'm going to go with. All right, so the system is completely wired in, zip tied, tucked away. All we have left to do is install our master cylinder, reinstall the blower motor, put the interior back together, bleed the brakes. Man, we have a little bit more than I thought, but you know, either way, we're almost done. The hard part's done. Now it's just the light stuff. You know, it's not the easiest, I should say, install, but it's not that bad either. Nothing's too custom, everything's plug and play. This is definitely something you could conquer at home. It would take some time. At a shop, it would cost you a little bit, but definitely be worth it to have it done the right way.
Tell you what, let's go eat.
Dinner. All right, so the master cylinder just came in from Honda. We're gonna go ahead and get it bench bled, then we're gonna install it in the car. We roughly put these lines in the approximate location where they're gonna go, just to see if we can't make it a little easier to bleed it here with our fingers. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna fill this up with fluid, then we're gonna pump this while holding our fingers over the ends here, and that'll allow us to purge all the air out of the master cylinder. That's called bench bleeding. Then we bleed everything inside the car from the wheels. So let's go ahead and do that.
Got started.
So now it's time to finish up putting not the engine bay, but the under hood section back together. We gotta put the blower motor in. Incorporated with the blower motor is also the fresh air intake duct. So let's go ahead and put this back in, hook up all the wires, and we'll be pretty much done under here. Then it's time to bleed. This is what's fucking me up, hold on. This rubber thing goes onto here.
You can suck, it can go in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the back one. There it goes.
There you go.
Fabio?
Gravity.
So Now we're ready to bleed it from each wheel. We're gonna go with the one that's farthest away from the master cylinder and work our way forward. I have our little bleeder here with the check valve built into it. Makes this real easy. Pop it on there, crack it open, and then hopefully Mike will pump it on the other side and we'll get the juice out of here. All right, so we finished bleeding the brakes. The pedal feels great. We have no codes in the ABS system. So now all we're doing is just tucking away a few of these wires so they're a little bit easier to get to. All right, not such a mess, I should say. And put the interior back together, and this car is ready for Brian whenever he decides to finish painting the rear bumper. All right, so we've completed our very large job. The interior's together, the brakes are bled, everything's installed, just like it was when it came in. But there's just one thing that's still not done, and it's the rear bumper, because Paint Society, Bumper Brian, still hasn't finished it. And I hope, Mike, you can help us to get it done. I don't know, I just don't know what to do anymore.
Time to get started on this rear bumper. We can see the cracking, and the cracking is from usually a few layers of paint, but once we started to sand it down, well, it was a much different story, one that we did not expect. You can see here there's up to about 8 layers of paint, and when you've got that much paint on it, well, you're asking for trouble. Now, this is something you just can't repair here in one spot, so we decided, well, we're gonna take out the big sander and we're gonna completely strip the whole entire bumper of all the paint. Now, this is a big feat, a lot of work, a lot of dust, and I did not expect this getting into the job, but you gotta do what the job needs, and what it needs here is to get totally stripped. Now, before doing this, check on the price of a new bumper and see, well, will that be a better option for you? Because you can see all the work that goes into something like this, and it does take a little bit of time to build back that plastic and make sure it's nice and smooth. So that's just what we're doing here. We're gonna go ahead and strip off the rest of this paint. Now, once all the paint was completely stripped from the bumper, we went ahead and used a 320 grit to smooth out the plastic. Since this is a raw plastic, we did use a primer PO, which is a plastic adhesion promoter, before we'll use our primer surfacer to build up the surface a little bit and smooth it out. So the whole entire bumper will get this coating, and once it flashes off, then we are ready to put some primer down. Now, this is a surfacer primer, so it will have a little bit of a build. Now, we went and did about 3 coats on this bumper, and those 3 coats will help smooth things out and then, well, give us a surface that we can block on.
Hey Brian.
What's going on, Mike?
So Again, John, want to check on the progress on the rear bumper.
So once again, this bumper had about 8 to 10 layers of paint, and we're actually doing a really, really wholesome, great job, better than John could probably ever do. So I'm not sure why he's checking on the progress, because I don't check on the progress of him. What do you guys think about people checking up on the progress? Weigh in the comments about people checking up on you while you're doing your job. How do you feel about that? I know I need to get back to work. Now, once our whole bumper was completely sanded down, we brought it into the booth, and we're using a red sealer here. And this red sealer is a similar color to what we have on the car, which is our base coat. So what the sealer will do is we're gonna help us out to get a nice smooth finish and fill in any small sanding scratch, so we have a beautiful surface, just the same way the NSX was painted from the factory. So once that was dry, we mixed up our Formula Red, and well, it takes about a good 6 toners to make up that color. Once that was all mixed up, we applied 2 even coats of our Formula Red, and you can see how similar of a color it is over our red sealer. Our red sealer really helps out because we don't have to put 5 or 6 coats down before it is covered. Once this is all dry, then it is going to be time for our clear coat. Now, clear coats nowadays are a high silence clear, and what they only need are 2 coats of clear. You don't need 3 or 4 like the old days, because these clears are much thicker. So we laid down 2 coats of clear, and then we got this thing all assembled up. And our job is officially done from the paint department. With a little help from John, we were able to get this whole bumper back onto the vehicle and get it nicely stubbed and secure. A little bit of wet sanding and polishing, and you can see that this NSX is looking better than ever, just like the day it rolled off of the showroom floor. We'll go ahead and pass this one back to Mike to finish up this one.
Right, so we got the rear bumper and the wheels back on the car, and next up, I guess the last item on the list will be the trunk struts, right?
Yeah, the trunk hydraulic stays, they're blown out on here, and these are actually aftermarket already. So the new owner went ahead and got us some OEM ones. So we're gonna go ahead and pop them off and see how everything lines up now. This is gonna keep this trunk from falling, because you see I have the support holding it right here, this thing. That's no good.
What do you say, Brian?
What do you say? I finally finished the bumper, but it's looking really, really good. It doesn't matter how long it takes, it matters about the fame it makes, because my name is Brian T. I'm on Paint Society.
I don't know what to say to that one. that's pretty incredible. Coming from someone who has the first gen braking system, and this ABS is on point. It works just like a new car. What an incredible upgrade. Everything works perfectly. I'm super impressed. And I've been driving one of these cars since '02 with the old system. This is a definite must for anyone who has any car pre-02. And we have the link in the description. Yeah, I'm definitely doing this on my car.
All right, Brian from Pink Society finished the bumper and we actually got that installed along with this ABS upgrade kit. What do you say, John?
I say it took Brian long enough, but the results are beautiful. You know, I gotta give him a hard time. If I don't keep Brian on his toes, he gets a little bit too relaxed. You know, the fame goes to his head.
He actually rap pretty good too. He got some bars.
He's got some bars, man. You know, for a white boy, he gets it done. But the paint work is on point. A little bit of polishing left on that. The car's out the door. ABS upgrade, like Mike said. This is something that interests me. It should interest anyone who owns an NSX under the year of, I think it's 2000. I'm not exactly sure the year when they upgrade it, but this is an awesome upgrade. The functionality on it's awesome. It's a lot safer than the original ABS system, and it all works perfectly. We checked it out. Awesome upgrade. And I believe you're saving something like 15, 20 pounds.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And everything is OEM factory parts, exception with the harness, plug and play. You can't get better than that.
Yep, no, it works perfectly. And if there is a fault, it will show you the fault like a factory car would do it with the ABS light on the dash. Everything works out beautifully. Awesome upgrade, must do.
Guys, we're gonna wrap this video up. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.